liberation just have vastly different understandings of what liberation is for.
I haven't seen this much importance and attention.
The story itself is a really wonderful, really great setup.
Tractor beam has been engaged.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Tractor Beam Comics Reviews on the Star Wars Underworld Podcast Network. Today is Wednesday, June 26th, 2024. It's the 25th week of comics in 2024. I got a long weekend coming up because it's Canada Day coming up, so excited for that. But let's get the quick plugs out of the way. I'm Matthew. He's Chris. Hey, how are you doing? How are you doing this week, Chris? What's going on?
Oh man, the Acolyte, I'm still buzzing, man. I watched that episode over 2 times at this point in 24 hours. I don't think I've done that in a Star Wars episode watched ever. So
yeah, but definitely makes the episode 4 feel different. I'll say that. We will talk about the Spitzer show in a bit. We'll get the plugs out of the way first. You can follow us Twitter, Instagram, Threads at IonCannonPod, EYEONCANONPOD, and at Starraptor, STARRAPTER. Make sure I got that right. You notice a little bit of a different handle here. I'll explain that in a little minute. But yeah, at the end. But if you like food, if you like looking at food, you like looking at ice cream, follow that right there on Instagram. That's all I'll say about that. We're here on the Ion Cannon and Tractor Beam and Underworld reads and all that stuff. Star Wars Underworld Network. Anyways, let's dive in. We got 3 paper stories today. Also 3 High Republic era stories. But yeah, 2 comics and insert a short. All of them set before the Phantom Menace. There's another good spot there. Let's dive right in. Darth Maul, Black, White, and Red #3, written by Erica Schultz, art by Leonard Kirk, the legendary Leonard Kirk, colors by Andreas Malsa, and cover that you see there by Sarah Pichelli. Crisis of Maul. Darth Maul is fiercely loyal to his master, Darth Sidious, and a true believer in the Sith. But will a mission to a remote moon change his mind? Schultz and Kirk bring you a crisis of master and apprentice. This one was interesting. This was exciting, especially shortly after, the day after you're watching the Acolyte. There will be Acolyte spoilers. Just throwing that out there right now. I'm about to spoil something. Seeing the use of the word Sith on screen.
Yep.
Which I wasn't expecting entirely, but whatever. I guess that was a little bit. But anyway, seeing that on screen and then getting this comic book, I wonder if they kind of timed it, because Palpatine stories, Maul stories don't necessarily always kind of go into what the placket either. There you go. Palpatine stories, Maul stories don't always necessarily go into Sith lore. The whole Bane plan going into what people, the persona, the undercover persona, and there's this crime lord who might threaten to, I don't know if he was going to expose Palpatine as a Sith Lord, but at least as someone who is kind of shady and in the underworld. And so that was, just this, again, a fascinating just to dive into that. Loved seeing, my favorite moment was this scene where Uncle Sheev is helping out some junior senators, just giving some pointers. Say, here, taking them under, I'm going to take you under my wing. I'm the kindly, wise, and experienced senator. I want to help you out, pass your legislation, and here's some pointers. Here's what you do. And then immediately he's like, okay, you got to go, Maul, you got to go kill this guy off. Hope you go kill this guy off because I say so. And really playing up the power dynamic, playing up the manipulation. I mean, that's the thing with Sidious and Maul and with Vader. It really goes back and forth between you see this in the Greg Pak comic a lot, right? You see how Darth Sidious, he's like, my friend, Vader, my friend, and then you know your place, apprentice. And seeing it here, especially with Maul being so green and untested and impatient, and I think that's what Palpatine's trying to instill in Maul. And he clearly, we know, and that's the big thing with as he's just this kind of a kid still, and he doesn't have that kind of patience. And having to know, and it's even a transgression to even know why Palpatine wants Maul to kill this not Trandoshan. I don't know if it's Trandoshan, but
Deveronian.
Deveronian, yeah, completely different species, Matthew. Deveronian, who might threaten to expose Senator Palpatine as something deeper. But yeah, again, it was a great character study. Interesting, use of the color red. I think pick the Deveronian for that reason. I think is part of the reason. Also the look. Deveronians are always so
You might want to talk a little closer to the mic or reposition the mic.
yeah, Deveronian.
Oh no. No, where I had podcast issues on my podcast.
I've had my issues with this
internet
mic.
issues.
I've had issues with this mic.
That's better. That's better.
I think I just need to speak. I'm too far away from it. Yeah. So yeah, the Deveronian, a great look, but also making use of the red. I love the hologram, the hull whatever for the holoskype thing. It's usually blue, but here because it's black, white, red, it's in red, and that really serves to underlie the whole Sith shtick here. This is the dark side. These are evil. These are the Sith characters, and red is the very Sith color. So very effective use by Leonard Kirk and Andreas Mossa.
I've never heard of Leonard Kirk, by the way. He said he's legendary.
Yeah, so
What's he known for?
So the original description actually went into give some examples, but I mean he's known for he did I think he did Black Panther. Did. I mean he's been doing. He's one of the long term Marvel artists. So yeah, definitely great, very dynamic art. You can very feel the motion and the just the action in this comic book, and so yeah, again, very gripping. It isn't as weird or edgy or off-putting, and I mean off-putting in a good way that the Vader one was. Vader was intentionally just wild and out there. This one is a little more tame and streamlined. Maybe reflecting. I mean, maybe that's another intentional choice, reflecting how he's this simpler. He's still a kid. He's just very driven by simpler reactions and emotions. Like I gotta know. He kind of got FOMO here, whereas Vader was a lot more complex. He had some. I mean, Vader. You see this image here. He always has some gravity, some authority to him in and of himself. At least later on. So it would be interesting. Just a thought here, if there was a black, white, red around the time of Charles Soule's run, the first first arc or something, somewhere in there, when he's that young too. Maybe an interesting change. Anyway, I've spoken a lot. Yeah, I enjoyed this issue. I would like to see the art still get pushed more, but very, very fascinating. What did you think of this Darth Maul Black, White, Red #3?
Well, I actually thought the art was the best out of the 3 so far. I think it was solid. It was like I didn't even feel like I was in a weird sense of the way. I didn't even feel like I was looking at something with 3 different colors. Like I think the utilization of the colors felt so natural to the story that I was just reading it and just didn't even really acknowledge the fact that it was black, white, and red. It was just like, this is a good story. That's the artist is understanding the writing here, what's going on.
Yeah.
And it was cool to see Maul questioning Sidious, and we've seen the other Maul miniseries where he was so hell bent to kill his first Jedi. Like he's so impatient. Like the Sith have not been able to really kill Jedi much. Oh well, unless you're the stranger from the Acolyte or something. But yeah. So like there's a lot going on with his mentality. Like just let me off the leash. Let me off the leash. What's going on here? What's the issue? Is like, why is this important? Because the previous story, he basically was used just for like a training mission to kill all these people. So I think these are kind of loosely tied together in a different way that we haven't seen. Like this is an anthology story that's just a bunch of missions Maul's on, but I think some of this is maybe harkening back to like he's thinking like, I don't want to go on one of these missions where I'm just massacring people. Just tell me what's going on so I know what to do. And it was cool. It was cool. I like the moment where he decapitates the Rodian and just throws the bag in there.
Mhm.
Like that was some hardcore stuff there. We've seen a lot of hardcore Sith moves
Yeah.
in just the last 24 hours, and it was like, wow. Just coming off of watching the Acolyte, I'm just like, this is Lucasfilm synergy happening right before our eyes. We're getting this great Sith content in book form and in screen form. So there's that going on. But yeah, like you said, the big thing that resonated with me is like, wow, seeing Palpatine actually as a senator dealing with the other dignitaries, and like that was so cool about mentioning Valorum and different things. Oh yeah, he's too busy. You wouldn't want to, bother him, so you want to make sure it does this and this and this. You don't have to go through to him. Like you already see him like sowing
Yeah.
those seeds of like different things. Like, oh, you should talk to this person, do this. Like he's already like making these like unexpected alliances or something behind the scenes. It was
True.
really neat to see that aspect and then see him in Sidious mode, like later on at the end, talking with Maul, keeping an eye on the Maul with literally the Sith probe droid, which is a cool idea. Like I never even knew that was a thing. Like Sidious would just like watch Maul through the lens of those things.
Yeah, I mean, we usually see him just communing in the Force, being aware of stuff. But yeah, to have the tool that Maul is using be also the thing that's being used against him, Yeah, I mean, yeah, well, and just thinking about that scene with the senators, in Phantom Menace, he's always undermining Valorum. It's just he's doing it so kindly. He's doing it so Valorum just incapable of leading. Why not let me give me a shot? Why not? Let me try. I can bring peace and security to the I can and freedom to the Republic. And of course, the Phantom Menace screening saw May 4th. Someone was holding on, and one of the great moments. I don't like interruptions and things that pull out of it, but there's that moment at the end where he's talking to Padme that I'll bring uh, liberty and justice or something, freedom and justice back to the Republic. And someone, a liar, right in the crowd.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Hilarious. And so, yeah, just a very subtle, very short moment that I'm picking out. And then, of course, this next mission. So you mentioned how they're loosely connected, these stories, and it's effective in that they're standing alone. They're episodic, if I can use that term. Well, also, yeah, his training, his learning to be ruthless for the sake of it, learning not to question, learning not to hesitate. I'm suspecting there's something here. We got this great Coruscant shot. First, I just want to say Coruscant. Always like to see Coruscant in red, which is also striking. So yeah, okay. I take back. I mean, I did enjoy the art. I take back the. Well, I do like. I'll say this. Let me clarify what I meant by that comment. Is I really liked how in the Vader one it really pushed the style, and it was more complicated and intricate and not as accessible, not as clean line as what we're kind of familiar, what we're used to. This is just a little more familiar of the style. It just the colors are by definition just. I mean, the red is the thing that pops out, and what you make is red. In this, of course, Maul's face is going to be that, and the Deveronian. Then like the backdrop and Coruscant there. Anyway, the mission. He's probably gonna have to do something that might go against his conscience, or if he has a conscience, and that's the thing. It's a Sith thing. You have to commit some great atrocity in order to really ascend in the dark side. And as you know, I think the Acolyte's suggesting that too as well, somewhat. But yeah, maybe that'll be that next mission, because do not hesitate this time. So yeah, really well put together. I don't know if you have anything more to say.
No, this was just a solid action comic book, and I do have one little thing to say before. I think of this as a quick intermission between this and our next story here.
Bring this
this is going to tie into the Star Wars Underworld flagship podcast. I'm surprised they haven't done this already, so I'm going to do it myself if I have to do this.
All right, the network first. Go for it.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk about food on the Star Wars Underworld podcast. All right. Specifically, something of the cookie variety.
Right. I still haven't gotten
And here we go.
There we go.
With Oreos, I'm going to have maybe 1 or 2 of these every podcast.
Do it.
And that's how I'm going to eventually get through 2 packs because basically they're identical. You either get the blue or you get the red, and they have cool markings on them. Oh my gosh!
Black and red, just like this comic book.
Actually, no, blue and red. Sorry, blue and red. All right, so I'm gonna go with my light side real quick, and I'll keep you updated on the. I'll just play right now so we don't interrupt. We don't interrupt the podcast as we're going. But I pulled a Ray for the light side box tonight. Boy, let's see if we can see it. It's kind of dark.
There we go. Close enough. I believe it. Take your word for it.
And then real quick.
Like, is there a light side box and a dark side box? Is that how it works?
It's randomized. You don't know. It's the same exact. Oh, you're gonna love this one.
Okay. All right. I can't see it all. Sorry, Chris.
It was. Oh, there. There we go. Can you see it now?
No, it's too small. Okay. Let me blow this up. No, too small. I can't see.
It's Count Dooku.
Yeah, Dooku. All right. He was a visionary. It's true. Can we see the red filling? Can we just see the red? Pop it up, open. There we go.
It's actually kyber crystal. There's like little like crystallized sugar in this. It's really
black,
cool.
white, red. It's black, white, red. There we go. There's the comic book.
Oh, there it is. You pulled it off in perfect unison.
That's perfect.
Timing.
I gotta say, Chris, I picked the perfect day to announce my foodie Instagram right here.
Food reviews.
There you go. Send me some photos and I'll throw them up on that account. There we go.
All right, now we can move on.
Okay. Anyways, let's go back in time. To the High Republic, and we're staying in the High Republic for most of the rest of this episode, just so you know, which is good because I'm loving the High Republic as I always do. High Republic Adventures Saber for Hire #3, written by Kevin Scott, art by Rachel Stott, colors by Nicola Rigi and Vita Efremova, cover again by Rachel Stott. Ty Yorrick versus the Nihil. The former Jedi turned monster hunter comes face to face with a child of the storm, but who or what is behind that villainous Nihil's cowl? Meanwhile, Ty's aggrieved apprentice initiates a mission of his own to rescue the Republic Chancellor's son. This one was fun. I'll throw it to you while you stuff your face with a cookie. You know how the pattern goes. I don't know. Go for it. What did you think of this one?
Oh, I enjoyed this one. My gripes the last issue was what's happening with Kip and John. We got an update on what's happening with them.
Yeah.
Overall, we're making the character of Tylera Yorrick as that child of the storm. I'm guessing that's what that is. Calls her later on in the issue. We get to see her have more of a heart, less of a hard ass appearance, like some mercenary, which she is. I mean, that's what she does. She's just a monster killer for hire.
Yeah.
But we see her with that force sensitive girl really having a heart, coming back, trying to save him, even though she has what she wants, So it's cool seeing her in a Nameless, and then with the girl, whoever was driving the ship, blowing them away. Who was that? No, that was the R2 unit. The R2 unit comes in to save the day and blows away the Nameless and whatever that character that knows Ty is. So it was a very cut and dry, like a very simple issue. There wasn't like any major revelations or huge character moments, I would say, necessarily. But it was just like, okay, this is setting us up for the final issue, right? It's 4 issues, I think.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so we have everybody where they now need to be. And then at the end of the issue, you have Lam, you have Kip. They're in a cave. There's this tentacle creature getting them. And then the Nihil come in. And is that like a modified Nameless? Like the big thing? What is that?
The one in the cave? The thing in the cave?
No, the other thing. There's like a Nihil with a Cthulhu face. Last page. It's like the last page of the story. There is a bunch of Nihil, but the thing that's front and center, is that a Nameless? Like a humanoid hybrid?
I don't think so. I think it's just some other whatever. I think you're the big guy there?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
That's kind of like a Nameless to me. I don't know.
I didn't think that, but I like this guy. Speaking of food, this guy here munching on the meal that that was funny. Yeah, no, anyway, sorry, keep going if you have more to say.
That's basically my opening salvo. I think that about covers most of it for me. Yeah.
Yeah, it was, again, like you said, it's cut and dry. What's the Druin. Yeah, Druin. It's interesting to see him really, take this guys, go and actually find them on the planet there. This moves his story along in that he actually takes off and he goes to where he needs to get to. He becomes like uh Druin Yorrick monster hunter, like taking on the name, taking on the identity, but he doesn't really know what he's doing, doesn't know what he's getting into, and the Nihil are right there on the doorstep. And so clearly unprepared. Just in it for something. It's definitely, I mean, there's definitely a strong arc here going back to phase 1 comics where he was just kind of this small kind of, come on Ty, bring me along, I want to learn, I want to get out of this place I'm in, and just go, and I'll be your Padawan and everything. And now he's like, no, I'm gonna take the ship and I'm gonna go and I'm gonna face down this snake thing and call myself Druin Yorrick and Monster Hunter, and oh no, the Nihil are there. And so that was a big growth. It's almost to say, I mean, it's a contrast with Ty's story, because Ty kind of coming out the other end of that, of the hardened actual Monster Hunter who does know what she's doing, but now she's come back to not so much the Jedi itself, but the Jedi ideals of saving the innocent and protecting life and being the guardians of peace and justice. And frankly, has gotten stuck with another Padawan now, sort of, with this kid with Lean. Interesting name with Lean. I think I mentioned this last issue. It's not the same Lean that's in Dooku Jedi Lost, but it's very coincidence, the exact same name. A Force user named Lean in a Kevin Scott story. I don't know what that's about, but that she's now carting Lean around, and what that'll mean if she's able to get them to Republic space. Are they in the OZ now? Are they in the occlusion zone? Or are they in? Doesn't really say where they are.
Oh yeah, they're still in there.
They're in the occlusion zone. Okay, so that's if they weren't. Oh yeah, because the Nihil are there, obviously. Matthew. Yeah, they're in the occlusion zone. If they can get through the occlusion zone, which, having just read Defy the Storm, and I'll get to that in a minute. The real question of getting them through. So, another thing. Again, having just read the Defy the Storm, having reading all these Terra book stories, am I starting to get Nameless fatigue in a way, if that makes sense? Because you got the Nameless. They're basically everywhere at this point, and it's like, okay, yet another thing that's an obstacle. Now, here's the thing. Here's my counter argument right to myself is that's probably on purpose. Oh yeah, the Nameless are everywhere. They're unchecked, and every single place, wherever a Jedi goes, wherever a Force user goes, the Nameless are going to go cut them off, and they're going to be there. So clearly, as we see in the mainline comic, clearly Baron Bulin, his plan is working. He's growing his children, and what's the other guy's name who's also in this comic, right? The guy with 2 names from Escape from
Niv
Hell.
Dreadnought?
Yeah, that guy. Yeah, his work is going well, going apace. So yeah, I guess the nameless really are everywhere. I would like to see them somehow mix it up somehow. I think with the Blight, that's an interesting development on that.
Just read the next book. That's all I'll say.
Okay.
Joel. I know they sound boring, but wait until the next book. They're not boring after the next book. Okay. I guarantee you, read some of those chapters, and you're not going to be bored by these things anymore.
Okay, that is the extent of a spoiler comment I will gladly hear, because that's good to know. Okay, that's good to know. And I mean, as a comic, it doesn't show up as much, and Ty's able to evade the whole situation. Is that a Child of the Storm? I'm curious to know more about Children of the Storm. That's an interesting nod. We got that in the mainline comic as well. Interesting nod to to the Path of the Open Hand, right? The mother's children. Is there a connection there?
Yeah.
So, maybe kind of the opposite. Now the other one's in the robes. I don't know.
That'd be crazy. if that was the Padawan friend that she think died or something.
That's probably it. Yeah, I mean, I forgot about that person, but yeah, because there's
The
definitely
one that went to the Bogan Vault and then got killed. It was like the first story she was ever in. I forget what comic that was.
it could be. Oh, the first Yorrick one is I forget what it was called.
Monster at Temple Peak.
Yeah, and that's kind of a prequel to the Rising Storm, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she shows up in the Rising Storm. Calvin Scott doing his thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And this Child of the Storm does use the Force, right? So fairly sure. So yeah, that seems to make sense. That's who that person is. It's probably a big mystery because there's a familiarity there too. So
yeah, you gotta bring people like I mean, it could be somebody left field, but it would be as satisfying if it was, you know.
Yeah. That means I'm gonna have to go back and read that because it's been what 4 years. Don't remember that. So.
Oh my gosh, yeah, something like that.
3 years. It's been 3 years. Yeah. All right, any last thoughts on this book?
Yeah. Let me see here. So, as far as the overall, I like the idea of this thing I wanted to talk about. The girl not knowing like she was using the mind probe. I thought that was kind of cool. Like people have latent powers. They don't know how to control them necessarily. So to see Ty's reaction is like, no, just don't do that. Like that's horrible. Just don't do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, stay out of my mind. You won't like what you see in there. Yeah, kids don't always know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Kids with space wizard powers definitely might not know the implications of what they're doing. So there you go. I'm thinking of how kids trying to bake cookies or whatever, they just spill the flour everywhere. In this case, it's spilling Force stuff into someone else's mind. That's not good. There you go. All right, good to move on. Are we good?
Yep.
All right. Staying in High Republic, staying in the Occlusion Zone. We're not leaving the Occlusion. We're never leaving the Occlusion Zone. I'm just kidding. We will leave the Occlusion Zone. Eventually, Family Ties from the Insider. This, of course, were written by Lydia King, art by Jake Clint Davies. I'll show the.
Oh.
This is I believe this is the subscriber cover.
Yes.
That's great. That's, of course, Ghal Tarpfen.
Came back.
Cocoon comes back. That was a great reveal at the end of the last story. That she's there. She survives. Again, way to bring in. I mean, that's the thing High Republic does, I think, so well is it's really so well organized, and that a character you see in one story in one medium can and will go into something else, but they'll really flesh out their stories in the thing you've seen them in. And so, yeah, we have the Adrens in the Starlight Tales of Starlight by Charles Soule, and we see them coming back here in these Insider shorts, and of course Ghal Tarpfen, and I forget the other commander on the Starlight Beacon get to mention in this too. Yeah, I mean, this is an interesting, again, a bit of a lore drop. This one, I enjoyed reading it. I definitely enjoyed reading it. I enjoyed, the way it had a lot of exposition, because telling, okay, what was Ghal's experience, what did she see, what happened to her, but they did it by this symbolic sort of taking off her shell. That apparently Mon Calamari, when their lives are threatened, they can just build this cocoon over themselves. I wonder if squid can do that. I don't know. But yeah, so that was again an interesting tidbit. But yeah, the symbolic thing of them kind of cutting it open so that she can actually tell her story and cut open her story and tell what she experienced, what happened. Also, not everything she experienced. I like that moment where she's thinking about remembering how she was tortured by the Nihil, but she doesn't share the details because she doesn't need to. Also, this experience seems to have, for lack of a better term, she's not human, but humanized her. In phase 1, she seemed very gruff and very much like your stereotypical commander of a station, and here she's being made vulnerable, and so she can have more of a connection, just more notice what the Adrens are thinking and feeling a little more. Also, we get her point of view in this story a lot more, and so that is a different window into her perspective. Well, it is the window into her perspective. I'm wondering, and that's another thing. So I just finished Defy the Storm finally,
Nice.
where we see the Blight, see the
Mhm.
these planets taken over by the Blight, and how careful they have to be, and how careful everyone has to be. And again, don't spoil anything about Temptations of the Force, but I'm already wondering where the solutions are coming from, where the response is coming from. I like how we've with the whole overall with the Nameless, we've kind of delayed the response, delayed what Wreath and Amadeo were going to go do, and that's hinted. That's not hinted at. It's shown at the end of Defy the Storm. With the Blight, it's just introduced here, and now we're already okay. We have a species that's not immune, but has a strong defense against it, and they're a fairly prominent species in the galaxy. So, is the Republic going to be able to say, "Hey, Moncala, share what you know, what you can do? Can we replicate this somehow?" And of course, what we know of Mount Calamari, they'd be more than happy to do that. That's I guess how they are, but not necessarily at this time. That'd be an interesting twist. Just thinking that now, though, it'd be an interesting twist if they're a little more protectionist in this year. I don't know, but yeah, I mean that wouldn't fit with Admiral Akbar and King Lichar and all that. But yeah, here's Ghal Tarpfen again being kind of gruff, but at first, but it's still now she's humbled by this experience. I'm humbled, but still holds her own. Doesn't give up the answers. Still strong in a more important way, and yeah, really great to see that. Lastly, though, it's a little annoying. So the ends on a cliffhanger. They're not gonna pick up this story for a few months now. They're actually gonna go and tell another story.
Wait, what?
I think so. Yeah.
What?
I think they're gonna.
How?
Yeah, I think they're gonna take a break. Because this is issue 226, right?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, here's I guess the full image. It's issue 226. It says so next issue, Chronicles of Corellia by Alyssa Wong.
What the hell?
And that this is going to be continuing issue 229.
Oh,
227, 228 are Chronicles of Corellia.
come on.
229 is going to be back to the Adrens. Why not? I don't mind that. I think it's funny. Whatever. I know. I guess you mind that. One last thing I'll say. Speaking of Alyssa Wong, I don't know, or maybe not Alyssa Wong. Speaking of this book at least, Tarkin family name drop. I know we got Tarkins in Light of the Jedi. We spent all this time on Ariadu, or at least they're based on Ariadu. I know. I guess I don't know if in Temptations of the Force there's some time in Ariadu. I don't know if that's true, but I know there's things happen. That's kind of the Republic frontier because that's where the Storm Wall is right there. That's where this book takes off. Ariadu and DJO just today tweeted out Tarkin family drama coming in. And so I think, and I'm guessing that's in reference to a High Republic story that's coming up. Yeah, so that makes more sense with the title. I don't quite understand the title here, Family Ties, unless saying, the family of the Republic or something. But yeah, Tarkin family drama. Probably not in, I don't know what, but something to do with, the Republic on Ariadu. We'll see. It'll be interesting. I mean, we haven't really seen Tarkin except in Clone Wars. Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. We never seen Clone Wars except since Clone Wars. We haven't seen Tarkin as someone we're sort of cheering for. Even then, we're not really cheering for him.
No.
Interesting to see. We're cheering for everybody in the Republic at this point, especially if they're that close to the Storm Wall. So who knows? Maybe some Tarkins are playing nice with the Nihil. Maybe some Tarkins are trying to make good with the Republic. We'll see. I'm curious to what that means. But anyway, I've spoken a bunch on this one. What did you think of this story?
I really like how Lydia Kang was able to kind of give a glimpse into the medical side of things because that's her background as a medical doctor. With the whole idea of like cutting off like limbs or fingers or whatever they were doing to like stop the flow of the blight, so to speak. So I really like that level of drama that was happening as she was able to portray on the written page to be able to like, this is intense, this is traumatic, trying to save her life. Then she's giving this like very foreboding information, like do not go towards the storm wall, you're going the opposite way, turn around, all this stuff. It's like, what's going on? Like this sense of mystery. Oh, the Nihil are here, but they're not for us. There's somebody that's on the other side of us that they're for. Like all this interesting stuff. And that's why I'm so mad that we have to wait like 3 or 4 months to figure out what the heck is happening next.
So a similar moment in Defy the Storm, right? With with Jordana here's a spoiler for that. Jordana cutting off her cousin's hand.
Oh yeah, good old Karasanteca, man.
Which was an interesting thing because interesting kind of play around, switch around, because of course Avon threatens to cut off Xylan's hand if he doesn't cooperate.
Oh, that's Xylan.
Yeah, Jordana cuts off Kara's hand because they got to save his life, right? Different things people have to do. Yeah, that's a great point with Lydia Kang being a doctor. Yeah, she understands. I mean, I guess she can develop Moncala anatomy. She can develop that lore based sort of on human lore, but not quite. Or not lore, but like human physiology. But interesting. There you go. Anyways, I get to move on to the next High Republic story.
Yes, I am.
The space wizard show. What a ride! What a wild ride! I won't say too much, except to say, I am perpetually and forever #YordHorde. I will never not be YordHorde. Spoilers starting right now. I will always be YordHorde. May he rest in peace. We got to get more stuff.
Oh my gosh, the way he was off, I couldn't believe that happened on Disney. I can't believe the stuff I seen on screen. I was yelling at the TV, literally. I was going, ah, ah. It's like they're like going like just pointing at the screen like, what is that? Is the body count? Oh my gosh,
Yeah, so both YordHorde and Jackie Jams. I really want more Yord stories. I think Ethan was tweeting out today too. I'm on Twitch. He was saying, yeah, let's get more stories with Yord and Jackie, and we're getting a Kelnaka comic by Kevin Scott, which is good. Let's get more. I mean, again, I keep saying this about Yord. I really love how he takes himself too seriously. He has these moments of insight and clarity, especially in episode 4, but he takes himself way too seriously and embodies.
I was like, I was on board with him for the first like 2 episodes, but the 4th episode he definitely was like way too serious for me, and I'm like, I don't see the appeal in this character anymore. I thought he had like a funner side to him, but it never really shined through to me. So like, yeah, I'm not on board with that train. I was like, you know what? If it's time for him to go, it's time for him to go.
Sure.
He's like the very like straight line police officer type character. I'm just like, yeah, all right.
But we're supposed to laugh at that, right? We're supposed to be all, why are you taking yourself so seriously, Yord? And that's how Jackie and Asha don't, right? So I always liked how that played out. I got the sticker here. There it is. I mean, I'm saving that more of my thoughts for another podcast, but I'll also say one last thing. I think this is my incendiary take. And I won't. I won't elaborate on it tonight. You'll have to wait for another time for me to elaborate on this. But this show is at once the most progressive thing, one of the most progressive things Star Wars has put out, and surprisingly anti-woke. and just the way it gives certain lines, certain characters, certain lines that we're supposed to trust and believe. It happened with Coral, definitely happened with this Chimera, whatever his real name is.
Well, they call him now officially the Stranger.
Stranger. Okay. These lines that I think in a show that's just full bore progressive, it would give those lines to more trustworthy characters. Here, it's showing how those things can get weaponized, and so this show is, especially episode 3 and episode 5, especially episode 3. Oh no, episode 4. Yeah, episode 3. Yeah, I can count. The show is entirely whatever you need it to be, and it's saying whatever you need it to say.
Okay.
Keep saying this again and again. The more important question, it isn't what is the show saying, is why do you think this is what the show is saying? And I love it for that as well. So then that's kind of the quieter moments, not so much quiet, like the dialogue moments. Obviously, we talk about the action too, but anyways, do you have any more thoughts? You're still buzzing. You're still buzzing on this show, I'm guessing.
Oh yeah, man. I really like how this felt like the ending of Act 1.
Mm.
We're going into Act 2, even though I think in one of the articles from Entertainment Weekly, they said, okay, this is going to Act 3 in next week or something like that. But basically, long story short, is like we've had all this build up, all this backstory, all these different characters.
Yeah.
And now the poodoo has hit the fan, essentially. And it is basically like, this is where things get really good.
Yeah.
Dominic Jones had mentioned on the flagship podcast last week about this is almost like House of Dragons. Like he sees the show almost like House of Dragons. I think he's correct in that, because like there was a lot of minutia, a lot of moving parts in these first couple episodes, and that's how House of Dragons season 1 was. The first half was like all these basically flashbacks in a sense with how far back in time it was when all there was a lot of setup, and now we are at the point where okay, we are halfway through. I was losing faith. I was losing faith in the show for a little bit there, because I'm like, okay, especially after the last episode, like, how are you going to leave us there? Some weird things happening with the plot and all, but from like a pure fan perspective, moments like this whole episode ranks up there for me right now, off the top of my head. The kind of buzz that I felt after seeing Luke Skywalker marching on, killing Dark Troopers in Mando season 2, like it's got that bang. Like if you look at like what Disney has done under its umbrella with Lucasfilm, like this is going to be one of the top tier moments of just like this Sith just going and massacring Jedi in the coolest way possible, like using cortosis, which is something pulled from Legends, which is awesome, using it on his hand, using it on his helmet, and then like just the performance of Manny Jacinto and how dominant he was as a character. Just no matter what, he always had the upper hand. Like just the aggression, but also the playfulness that he has, and just the way the episode ends. Like we always heard that this was being pitched as the Jedi infiltrate, or the Sith infiltrate the Jedi Order. That's literally about to happen. Like May is now in the guise of Osa, unbeknownst to Saul, going on her way back to Coruscant, going to be able to get all the first-hand intel information, construe truths and stuff like that, mess with databank car, all this stuff, right? Like this is the cool part of this story, where we had all this stuff happening before that was, you're either on board with it or you aren't. But I think it's safe to say, like, okay, the action, the choreography is so good in this, and just the ambiance of this episode, the music, the delivery of the line, like everything was like, it was top notch.
Yeah.
It was great to see, because I was saying to some other guys, I was like, this episode needs to be like an 8 out of 10. I didn't expect to get like a 10 out of 10. You know, and I was like, okay, here we go. This is way better than I could have anticipated. And it's great to feel like that way as a Star Wars fan. You know, you hear about a show that was dealing with Sith, and you're like, okay, I'm ready to see like some epic duels, you know, a surface level thing. But there was some depth to like the conversations and the nuance as well in this episode, which I really appreciate.
Yeah. Here's another good Game of Thrones reference.
Yep.
Up there. Yeah, we don't also, Joel mentioned, I think you mean Brendak.
Yeah.
We still don't know what happened there. Maybe we never will. I don't know. Yeah. In episode 4. One more thing I guess I'll say is, yeah, episode 4 was this weird miss in terms of some things. Even like with May's turn, I still don't understand it.
Yeah.
But I guess it was a moment of weakness. Episode 5, it makes me, it relegates it, relativizes it, because it just the feel of how odd and off that is. The switch was, it doesn't matter as much. She's back on board. Where she's literally on board, Matthew.
Ah.
So yeah, really, really effective story, and I like your point about how it feels like everything's been building up to the switcheroo that May pulls off. So yeah, 3 more episodes to go though. That's the weird thing, unless we get season 2. 3 more episodes to go.
Yeah. I mean, I've been doing my part, man. I've watched this episode like so many times, just looking back at the duel. Like not even watching the whole episode, just like going back, especially that opening sequence, like realizing, oh my gosh, like two Jedi got impaled. Then another one gets force gripped. Then they both, looks like they both get decapitated at once behind a tree. It's like, what the heck? This is epic, man. I never cheered for a Jedi to die until last night. I'll tell you, I was like,
Really, you're cheering, eh?
I was cheering when every Jedi would die, because I said this is the potential that people wanted for a Sith show, is to show body count like this, and Disney, I didn't think they had it in them, so that's why I was cheering. It's like, yeah, man, this is great. They're letting Leslie just get away with the story she wanted to tell.
It's kind of like Rogue One in that sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, they're actually going for it. So
I mean, they're still unsure. I was reading Entertainment Weekly magazine article today, and she's interviewed, and it's just like, if we get greenlit for season 2, I have like 4 or 5 ideas,
Yeah, Joel's mentioning it too. Let's hope. She has an interview in this too, an insider.
Yep, I read that. Yeah, it was good.
So I should give that a read for sure. Okay, we get to move on to one more thing. We got one more thing.
Oh, we have one more thing? This is news to me.
We have one more thing. It's news. We have news. We found out.
Oh, wait, that thing. Oh, see, this is so far back in my rear view mirror at this point with Acolyte. I'm like, oh, yeah, that happened.
We haven't gotten a chance to talk about it. And I promised on Monday, I was like, we're going to talk more about it on Wednesday. Because I had a spiel that I was going on Twitter about. But anyways, finally, Marvel Comics gives us something at all about where things are going, where things are heading. There's an article on Marvel.com. This exciting chapter. So writing about everything from 2020, the whole ESP era, Return of the Jedi era, starting with Charles Soule's all going, Greg Pak, Vader, Afra, Tetra, Bounty Hunters, all the crossovers, all that, and that this exciting chapter comes to an end in September with 2 oversized 50-page epics, Star Wars number 50 and Star Wars Darth Vader number 50. We knew ongoing that was the end, but this is a confirmation that Vader, or I guess one of them we knew, one of them we weren't sure. We're still waiting on confirmation, but so the number 50 going to be the end. And there's this Giuseppe Camuncoli connecting variant. I keep on bringing this one up, and I keep saying it. Chris, if you see this as a poster at San Diego, they got to give it away at New York too.
Yeah.
So these are connecting variants. So you just buy both of them, and you hope your comic book store gets them in. But look at that, and just I want to pause. Finally, we have Mr. Sidious in the center there, Mr. Palpatine. There, we have Obi-Wan at the bottom. You have Afra and Jabba. We have Ochi of Bestoon in there.
Yeah.
We have everyone. We look with his red lightsaber and Vader or Luke with the yellow and Vader with the red. I don't think they're going to be dueling at all in this, obviously, because it has to save it for Return of the Jedi. But yeah, again, I keep saying this too. I love how this is a celebration of the last 4.5 years of Star Wars comics. It's a celebration of the last 9 years of Star Wars comics. I got the X being like 10. Star Wars comics, Star Wars canon at 10. Is that 3PO or is that BT? I can't tell. It could be both at the same time.
Mm,
So the lightsabers there. So yeah, just a really, really nice send off. Really excited for these two issues. Really come out and just tie everything together. We've suspected it's probably something about the Battle of Tanab with
Oh.
Lando. Lando kind of he's in the center of the Star Wars one there. You can tell that. And of course, Vader's in the center of the Vader one, but you have Afra and you have Ochi. I don't know, but the Battle of Tanab, maybe something with Vader, something to do with Exegol still. I don't know if they're still on Exegol, but so yeah, that's coming out in September, so we have some time. We still have number 40, 48, 49 of both of those to go through as well, I believe. So that, but yeah, really, really, again, great. They're giving the time and the space for those. Anyways, so that's that bit of news there, and then finally the last thing, really was hoping to hear is they don't give us any answers, but so the article says later this year, Marvel Comics will take readers to a different era of the galaxy, far, far away. Stay tuned in the coming weeks for more information. Later this year. I wonder, what is this year? What happened 25 years ago? This year, what's this party? I know people are speculating. Yes, after Exegol, or not after. Yeah, after Jakku and before Jakku, even going all the way to to the Mandoverse and all that. I'm still on this horse. I'm still on this train of give me Anakin, give me Obi-Wan, give me some story, expand that, not necessarily expand that Obi-Wan Anakin comic that Charles Soule wrote, but some mainline comic in that time period. And so this is where my theory is, and this is how we were kind of with, I think it was the comic book Splash guys, saying the contrast. So in 2015, we had the ongoing comic, the Jason Aaron comic, we had the Kieran Gillen Vader comic, and then we had all these other smaller. We had the Leia comic and the first Lando comic by Charles, and the Chewie and whatnot, and a few different short runs, a Han Solo book, all those little things of the main characters exploring these things within the months after A New Hope, right? Because if you're going to reboot something, and this is what J.J. Abrams was on about, if you're going to reboot something, you might as well do it. If you reboot a comic book, you might as well do it right at the end of after A New Hope. That is what they did just a few years before that in Dark Horse with Legends, just at the tail end of Legends. And so we were already primed for all that. Boom, right off the bat. I really hope, and this is me wearing the prequels t-shirt, I fully admit that, but we got the Django comic, we've got the Mace Windu comic, we've got the Maul comic, we've got what else? I mean, I don't know what else we've gotten, but we've gotten the Living Force, we're getting another Maul.
Mace Windu?
That guy.
Glass Abyss.
Yeah, Glass Abyss novel. Yeah, I think they're
I think they're ready to go in that era. Yeah.
Yeah. So the only difference.
Telegraphed.
The only difference is we were already primed for an ongoing comic, and so they just filled it in.
They already had Obi-Wan and Anakin. That's another one we forgot about in that same era.
Yeah. So and that was a few years ago. Now they're kind of, maybe they were just testing. These were weather balloons to see how well this Mace Windu book would do, how well this Django book would do, how well this Maul book would do. Kind of just to show, we're ready to go. That's Star Wars #1. Anakin, Anakin Skywalker, or whoever. I don't know necessarily Anakin, but some.
Yeah.
It's probably Anakin. I mean, it would make sense for the Star Wars, the ongoing line, to be focused on a Skywalker. That makes sense too.
Yeah, an
anyway,
earlier version of Darth Vader. They always have a Darth Vader comic. Just have an earlier version of Vader to freaking be Anakin Skywalker. There you go.
and it's the mainline. It's the ongoing comic. Yeah, there we go. Because you can't have a Darth Vader comic in that time.
Yeah, yeah.
You can always.
So that'd be Star Wars #1.
Yeah.
And then
Mhm.
you would have Jango Fett, or call it Bounty Hunters if you want, by Ethan Sachs.
Yeah, number 5.
Charles Soule would continue doing Star Wars because he's already written for Anakin and Obi-Wan.
True.
And then you could get somebody to do, I forget the writer's name for Mace Windu. Have him continue that one.
Is it Mark Bernardin?
Yeah, Mark Bernardin. And then maybe one other random new character they can create for like that Dr. Aphra Zany kind of comic or something.
Sure.
Have us along to another.
I mean, the Django,
Crazy.
or spin something off from the Django.
Hmm.
Yeah, someone in there. No.
Mhm.
So yeah, that just. I mean, that's where my brain is going. But so yeah, hear what you thought about that for that second bit of news. What did you think of the first bit, that the Star Wars 50? Darth Vader
Yes,
50?
finally. We've been hoping for this for literally a year now. It's like, all right, things seem like they're wrapping up. Like Luke, he's like dealing with kyber crystals that are red and green and cleansing them. Like he's got to be close to his journey at this point.
Yeah.
So the Dark Droids who went through all Crimson Reign, there's a lot of things that happened in this year. I mean, how much more can you throw in, right? It's
Sure.
Vader going to Exegol, getting the Schism Imperial behind him, and all this stuff. It's just like, okay, OG Abyss soon. I can't wait to see what. I'm very curious about these issues themselves. So the Star Wars issue is going to be basically a look back with Luke and Ben Solo about a key moment.
Right.
So
That's a framing device, right?
it's a framing device. And I guess the Darth Vader story will have Luke Skywalker at that time and different things. So it's almost like the Darth Vader story is going to carry things all the way through.
So here's the cover, Darth Vader number 48.
Nice. Yeah. Looks so good. Looks so good. But I mean, that's the thing, right? The credence, like if you're going to have the framing device of Ben Solo, I mean, your thoughts kind of go to like, oh, are they going to make a Luke Skywalker Academy comic? Like,
maybe.
That could be a strong possibility.
Yeah. But I'm thinking, oh yeah, this thing with your mom happened, this adventure.
Yeah.
I guess. Although I don't know if Luke's is actually in this comic. That could be a marketing device, but yeah.
I would like them to really like, so people are thinking, okay, if you can do a post Return of the Jedi, they're probably gonna play it safe and just go between the year gap between Return of the Jedi and Battle of Jakku, because it's been so fleshed out so well at this point that you can't really interfere with any new stories because they already have so many things with Operation Cinder and everything going on there, and we don't know exactly what Luke, Han, and Leia are doing at that point. We've seen bits and pieces of Han and Leftet trying to free Kashyyyk and different things like that. Maybe we can get a different perspective on that moment in the comic and things like that. But the big thing here is swing for the fences. Let's start opening up the post Rise of Skywalker saga. We know that there's a script out there at this point that they have. So they have the broad strokes, and plus that storyline is not even taking place until 15 years after the Rise of Skywalker. So it's almost like, all right, there's a lot of room they could play around. They could play with like the first year after those events if they know the broad strokes of what's happening in the movie. So who's alive, who's doing what. Just see the beginnings of Rey training with Finn and Poe out there as a general cleaning up the First Order remnants and stuff like that. Like that would be great.
Yeah, that would be interesting. As an ongoing, you mean, or as something else?
Yeah, it's ongoing and all. Yeah. But here's the thing, Joel. Like if Marvel is not, if they want to bump up their numbers, can you imagine a better thing to do than just say, all right, we're opening the floodgates. They're going to sell another 1 million copies. I can almost guarantee you. If they do that, like market that well, see the next adventures of Rey, Finn, and Poe.
Yeah.
After Rise of Sky, you know how many people would show up to #1 release? There'd be like 50 variants, like there was for Star Wars 2015 again.
See, with that though, I'm worried about the black box, like with Bloodline, right? How Claudia couldn't say much and couldn't write much, and Chuck with Aftermath couldn't write much. I think I'd be concerned with just them having to artificially limit the story that way.
Mhm.
That's a huge advantage of Phantom Menace, right? We know what happens 10 years after that. We've had that story since 2022 or 2002,
Yeah.
whatever year it is. So
Yeah.
again, I mean, with numbers and popularity, yeah, Joel, I think I'll disagree with you here. Is um, yeah, or you say you'll agree with this? Yeah, I do think there's lots of numbers to go Phantom Menace. I think, and lots of numbers. Maybe not the traditional audience. Maybe bring in new fans. Bring in a new numbers, new readers who are lists and younger who have always loved these movies. And there are folks who the Phantom Menace is their new hope. Right? Especially Revenge of the Sith is their new hope. So yeah, I think that just makes the most sense. But I do think I would like to see a story of like a Luke story set between Endor and Jakku, and I'd like to see it be a comic book, but I'd like to see it be another 4 issue or 5-6 issue, something syncing up with the Battlefront 2 level, whatever it's called.
Yep.
So maybe with that, because we don't actually know what he's up to, and I think
Corellia, I think that's the planet they were on with Del Mico.
Yeah, where he finds the
compass.
The compass.
In one of the observatories of Palpatine.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think, I think that'll be good. I just don't know if it'll be an ongoing. Obviously, they just stretched 6 months from part of Return of the Jedi into 4.5 years. So you never know. Who knows?
No, it's 1 year gap. Yeah, but
1 year gap into 4.5 years. I don't know. I mean, again, I'd like to see it almost as an epilogue to this. But I've said my piece. You guys know what I want. I'm literally wearing this t-shirt. I wear this t-shirt on this podcast more than anything else. So
they're gonna announce the new stuff at San Diego Comic-Con. It's almost like it's they said a couple weeks, and literally it's in a little over 4 weeks we're gonna have Comic-Con.
Yeah.
And they said this new series is gonna be out this year.
Yeah.
They said later this year. I'm guessing they might take like a 2-month break. We'll get a big blowout in New York Comic-Con, because that'll be in October, like a couple weeks after the last issues. So we'll get like a nice big preview of like all the artwork and stuff. Mm-hmm. They might have a lot of that to show at SDCC, but I would expect that this latest series would start either in November or December, probably.
Give us a 2-month break.
Yeah.
There we go. I mean, I'm surprised later this year, because again, I was thinking January, 10-year, but hey, why not this? I mean, it's 1 month. December comes before January. By the way, yeah. So yeah, I mean, and even like Joel was saying, SCC, to your point, Chris, in the coming weeks, and this was last week. San Diego's late July, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So Chris, you'll be there, right?
If the panel's on a Thursday or Sunday, I'll be there. I couldn't get tickets for Friday or Saturday, so
if anyone has tickets for Friday or Saturday and wants to help them out,
help
out the tractor room.
There we go.
There we go. I'm sure we'll find out. We'll hear about this. Even all the way here in Canada, the news will cross the international border, I'm sure. There we go. All right. I think that's good show. Do you have any more thoughts on this news?
I would like to see 3 or 4 issues that combine, kind of like in the main series, right? Like we had crossovers, maybe not as many crossovers. I think they kind of went overboard with that, honestly. Maybe have a crossover once every year, not 3 times in a year.
Yeah.
But they did. I think they've really nailed it when we talk about Dark Droids. Like, that was the one that really felt like they learned their lessons from the Crimson Dawn miniseries and the War of the Bounty Hunter series and all that kind of thing.
Except
or
for
each
the
issue.
ending was still a little.
The ending was so truncated and rushed. It was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Like, okay, we got to finish this now in the 5th issue. Okay, let's just do this. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
It was like, oh,
But yeah. Otherwise, Dark
yeah.
Horse is good. Yeah. No more Vince. So that's it.
Ah,
So Marvel, as I keep saying this too, Marvel Comics, like X-Men. X-Men's been one event after one event after one event. Since for the last 5 years, like Jonathan Hickman doing event after event. And that, yeah, they're kind of obsessed with it. It's kind of their way of getting in numbers and variants and stuff. I wonder if that was part of the pressure, but also because Charles, he wanted to do. I mean, not just him, but I mean, with High Republic, he's doing such a great job with a team writing effort to do it also in this comics era. That was also mostly successful, but yeah, they learn on their way. Again, I think there could be signposts if they have to give us a good story reason why they're doing an event, a crossover like that.
yeah, why? Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, and
Yeah.
that era between
Mhm.
Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones is so verdant with creativity. Literally, the sky's the limit. You can invent a brand new faction.
You could.
It's 10 years. That's a long time for people to play in a sandbox with.
Yeah.
And they could just coast it, right? They could keep those stories go. My idea is they'd be keeping those stories going until they are completely done with the Mandoverse.
Yeah.
When that's all wrapped up,
And
the movies are done in 2028 or whatever that is, then they could start adding ancillary material with the comics
Mhm.
in that era. And then that's how it always goes. Like they're gonna trudge the new territory. I hope I'm right about the Rise of Skywalker. I would love to see that so much. But yeah, it's probably way off compared to anything else they could do. But they trudge the new territory with the films. Boom, they cross that off the list. Okay, you guys can now play in the sandbox.
Yeah.
Move on over.
It'll be after the Rey film. We'll get something then. And that might be when the next ongoing in 2028. Looking all the way ahead there. Yeah, well, and Mark Burnett, he invented a new faction in the Mace comic, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's so many things they could do. So many groups looking around because it's a republic, it's a democracy. I mean, it's a Jedi democracy, but it's still a democracy, freedom of religion, sort of. Why not? Yeah, that'd be interesting. I do think the one thing I would like to see a crossover in this event,
Okay.
in this run. The one crossover would be something about the clone army, right? If just say the ongoing is like with Charles Soule's teasing at the end of Vader number 25, the influence of Palpatine, the influence of Obi-Wan on Anakin. You also have Palpatine doing his thing like we saw at the end of the Django comic with Dooku and trying to, I mean, the timeline kind of sort that out when Dooku's actually fallen to the dark side. But yeah, to really bring all that together, because Obi-Wan Anakin, that's gonna have a lot more Coruscant. So I'd be more interested in that, but that would obviously have to be sort of planning that out to the end, to when they get to Attack of the Clones. But that's probably a number of years from now, as you said. So there you go. Okay, last. I mean that is the last item. Any final thoughts on this news, or to wrap it up? Good time to wrap it up. Releasing next week. Speaking of new books, speaking of new stories, Inquisitors #1.
Yeah.
New Jedi characters.
Hell yeah. I can't
Right.
freaking wait for this one, man. I'm so happy it's next week.
Yeah, Rodney Barnes getting his own book, getting to write his own story.
Finally, give this guy some creative freedom already.
Write his Star Wars. There you go. And then High Republic #9. I'm not quite sure. Yeah. Because Boolin's doing his thing.
An ultimate issue, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And then that 9, and then Kiev doing a thing, and then 10, and then the audio drama. And
When does that come out again? December?
It comes out December.
So we got 2 more adult things I have to experience for the High Republic. That and Trials of the Jedi, and that'll be it for the adult stuff.
I think it's 12 issues. I want to say it's 12 issues
Oh.
because it ends in November and then the audio drama is in December.
Okay.
So,
Well, good. I don't want it to end at 10. There's a whole lot to cover still with that Bulan guy.
yeah. So speaking of nameless being everywhere, there you go. Yeah, but Inquisitors, yeah, number 1. Yeah, another new Jedi character. That's also going to be with Acolyte in the noggin. Another new Jedi character, but this, of course, during the Empire era. I mean, anything more about Inquisitors? I'm sure that's the one you're looking forward to most. But
yeah, just because there's so much stuff that gets tied into the Inquisitors, whether it be Star Wars Rebels animated series, whether it be the Jedi games. There's so much, whether it be Obi-Wan Kenobi. Like the Inquisitors are so prevalent.
Yeah.
So it's awesome to see that we're getting a dedicated miniseries. It's going to have some of the memorable names and characters integrating together with Darth Vader still running things. True. Darth Vader is a character in this. He's going to be front and center along with the Inquisitors as the commander.
Yeah. He's on the cover, and it's kind of stylized like Rebels. His mask and whatnot.
I feel like this is going to give me that Soul Run vibe, even from the cover itself. It, like the way the colors are, it gives me that 2017 run feels. I feel like this is going to be almost like another arm of that kind of run spiritually.
It's the same in the same era, I think.
Exactly, yeah.
And it's the same kind of thing, right? Vader hunting Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
With Inquisitors. So
there we go.
So yeah, there we go. It's finally happening. All right. Finally get back to the plugs. Yeah, I think. Well, first off to say another great episode, Chris. We covered a lot. And we got it all the way through it. Hopefully some insights. Some helpful insights there. Where can they find you on the internet?
You can find me mainly on YouTube, youtube.com/StarRaptor. I actually just put up a companion video to last night's Acolyte episode talking about Cortosis, basically, and its history in Star Wars Legends and canon with Thrawn alliances, with the super battle droids and all that cool stuff. So if you want to take a deep dive on what the heck is happening to the Jedi's lightsabers, I did as close of an analysis as I could figure out. So there's that video there. Also check back on the channel later on Friday. We're going live on a special time at 9 p.m. because I'm going to be unavailable this Sunday. So we're switching up our recording time to talk about the Acolyte. So I have a lot more to say. So for my thoughts on that, tune in on Friday. Me and Ben are going to be chatting for a while about that one.
There you go.
And you can find me on Twitter as well at StarRaptor. There you go.
Yeah, that's another interesting connection with that that comic adaptation, or at least half the comic adaptation. Hopefully they can finish it. Hopefully Jodie Houser's health is in better shape. Yeah, so they can finish that, because it's another connection to a Disney Plus show, right? I mean, Thrawn and Anakin is a connection to Ahsoka, but Cortosis, there it is, right? That was my main introduction to Cortosis, actually, was Thrawn Alliances.
Mine was Jedi Knight 2, Jedi Outcast, and I believe it was the Dark Troopers that end up having it. Yeah. Probably.
So, yeah, the lightsaber resistant technology. It isn't weird. It isn't Beskar. It's Cortosis. Anyway, you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Threads at EyeonCanonPod, EYEONCANONPOD. This past Monday, we had Marty on, who usually does the thumbnails for Tractor Moon Ion Cannon. He came on in front of the camera and joined us to talk all about the Acolyte episode 4 this coming Monday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific, right here on the Star Wars Underworld YouTube channel and socials, etc. Yeah, we're getting more guests to talk about episode 5, because that's what we're doing on the Iron Cannon podcast. I might be sitting that one out because I might be on the beach watching Canada Day fireworks, but Joel will definitely be able to steer that ship quite well. You can follow me personally. I know it says something different there. My main Instagram account is MNEUG1138, but I took a nice photo of an ice cream cone today, and I threw it up on @beaches.foodie. And there we go. And of course, Chris is eating cookies on the stream, and so
there we go.
We're figuring it out. We're working it out. culinary exploits. So please do check that out if you like food on your social media feeds. Please check out at beaches.foodie on Instagram. Of course, I'm on Twitter, NEUG485, and Threads, MNEUG1138 as well. And right back here. Also, check out tomorrow. Check out the flagship, where definitely the Acolyte episode 5 will be talked about. Right here on the Star Wars Underworld YouTube channel, Star Wars Underworld podcast, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, and then of course Hannah, I believe, she's doing her talk about it
Right now, right?
Channel, and Tales from Beyond the Galaxy. They're chatting the Acolyte. We're all chatting the Acolyte because it's just that darn good, and just that darn wild. So please keep it locked. Keep it locked. And then where's this thing? Where's the slide? There it is. Yeah, go to your local comic book shop, pick those books up. Inquisitors #1. Let it fly off the shelves. Tell Marvel what's good for them by getting Rodney Martins to write his own Star Wars, and of course High Republic #9, and wherever comic books are sold. Yes, you can get them digital, but you can also, of course, support small local businesses. Everything I do is a foodie podcast, and everything I do is a foodie podcast. Support local businesses. Buy these books. But Chris, it's been fun. Till then, happy reading, and for light and life.